Hello, fam. Listen up. You ever feel like they wrote your story? Like the world already put you in a box? Nah, not on your watch. They thought they had you figured out, but you flipped the whole damn script. Flipped it so hard it shook their world. You turned every doubt into fuel, every silence into thunder. You're not just surviving, you're rewriting the rules. So are you ready? Ready to own your story like never before? Let's go. PK. Yo fam, you ever feel like the world's already got your story figured out? Like they wrote it in a book long before you had a chance to pick up the pen? Yeah, that weight presses down heavy, smothering, squeezing every ounce of breath from your chest. But listen, that weight, it's your call to rise, not to fall. Because here's the truth. You are the author of your fate, even when the ink runs dry and the page looks torn. They stacked the deck, didn't they? Placed bets against your heart, whispered doubts into your ear, watching like vultures circling, waiting for your fall. But what they don't see is the fire stoked deep inside you, that relentless ember glowing quietly, refusing to die. You flipped the whole script on them, didn't you? Took their script full of limits, labels, and low expectations and burned it to ash. You picked up the pieces, made your own story, raw and real, written with blood, sweat, and tears that no one else witnessed. It's a lonely road. The silence can crush you. The nights stretch endlessly like shadows creeping across your soul. But you stood firm, like a mountain battered by storms yet unmoved. You discovered patience wasn't weakness, it was armor. Humility wasn't surrender, it was strength in knowing you're still learning, still growing. You embraced the hard truths, swallowed the bitter lessons, and refused to be broken by the noise around you. You learned to trust not just in yourself, but in the divine wisdom guiding the unseen threads of your life's tapestry. This trust didn't make things easy, it made you unshakable. Because you know that every setback is a step forward in disguise. Every betrayal is a mirror reflecting your worth. Every failure is a lesson carved deep in your soul. You disciplined your mind like a warrior sharpens a blade, cutting away distractions, doubts, and fears. You built routines, rituals, habits that fuel your rise, not just fleeting motivation, but ironclad discipline that keeps you moving when the world says stop. They thought your silence was surrender, but it was the calm before your storm, the quiet that screams louder than words ever could. Now they're stuck, watching your story unfold from the outside, trapped inside the narrative you wrote with unbreakable hands. They live in the shadows of your resilience, in the echoes of your footsteps climbing higher than they dared to dream. So keep that fire burning. The story isn't over, it's only just begun. And remember, the power isn't in what they say about you, but in what you create beyond their sight. You flipped the script. Now they're stuck, living your story forever. You kept moving, even when every step felt like walking through a storm of doubts and broken promises. They don't see the battles you fought behind closed doors, the nights drenched in sweat, the mornings heavy with silent tears. But you know what it means to rise alone, to carry the weight of your own dreams when the world turns its back. That kind of strength, it's forged in the fires of solitude, tempered by sacrifice and unwavering resolve. The path wasn't paved with gold or lined with applause. It was cracked, rough, littered with failures disguised as lessons. You learned to hold your head high in the face of disappointment, to bow your spirit low only to stand back up stronger. Humility became your companion, not as a burden but as a shield, reminding you that greatness isn't born from arrogance but from knowing how far you've come. Trust in that unseen force, the divine wisdom that turns chaos into order, became your anchor when the ground beneath you shook. You didn't demand answers, you embraced patience like a sacred vow. The kind that says, I will endure, I will persevere, I will rise. Gratitude seeped into your soul like rain after drought, nourishing the seeds of hope you planted in barren soil. Every breath became a prayer, every struggle a testament to your unyielding spirit. You disciplined your heart and mind, refusing to let anger or bitterness dictate your story. Instead, you crafted a narrative of resilience, one that speaks louder than any insult, any betrayal, any silence meant to break you. They watch, frozen, unable to rewrite the chapters you control. They thought your story was theirs to steal, but you snatched the pen back, ink dripping with determination and fire. You flipped the script with every step forward, with every sacrifice made in shadows where no one could see. Your story now burns bright, a beacon of hope, a blueprint for those lost in darkness. And though the road is long, the journey is yours alone. Every moment of victory carved from pain, they're trapped in your legacy, forever living inside the story you dared to create. So stand tall, you're not just surviving, you're unstoppable. You flipped the whole damn script on them, and now your story belongs to no one but you. You learned that silence isn't weakness, it's the calm before the storm, the quiet fire burning so fierce inside that it consumes every doubt, every fear. The world tried to box you in, labeled you with scars and mistakes like they were chains meant to hold you down forever. But you shattered every shackle with patience carved from the deepest wells of your soul. Each setback wasn't a failure, it was a spark, igniting the inferno of your becoming. Alone, you stood in the shadow of your own doubts, wrestling with the darkness within and without. You forged discipline like a blacksmith, hammering your resolve into something unbreakable. Not just to survive, but to rise beyond the whispers of betrayal, beyond the echoes of broken promises. You walked a path paved with resilience, each step heavier than the last, yet unstoppable because your spirit knew no defeat. Trust became your compass, guiding you through nights where the stars seemed to vanish, where the world's noise was deafening silence. You held on to gratitude not as a fleeting feeling, but as a lifeline, a sacred force that turned pain into purpose, scars into stories worth telling. You flipped the whole script, not with anger or revenge, but with the quiet, fierce strength of someone who has stared into the abyss and smiled. Now they're stuck living inside the story you authored, with every breath, every choice, every moment you refuse to be less than you are. This story is yours, raw, honest, and unstoppable. So breathe deep, fam, let that fire blaze. They thought they knew your fate, but you rewrote it in flames. You flipped the whole script on them, and now they're trapped in your story forever. You rose from the ashes of broken dreams, each fragment a lesson, a story whispered in the winds of your relentless journey. No one saw the battles you fought in the quiet corners of your mind, the nights spent wrestling with shadows that sought to consume your light. Yet, here you stand, unshaken, a monument to patience and unwavering faith in the unseen. The path was never meant to be easy. It was a crucible designed to test the limits of your spirit, to shape you into something fierce, something pure. Every betrayal, every moment of silence meant to break you, only carved deeper the wells of your resilience. You learned humility not as submission, but as the grace to acknowledge your imperfections and the courage to rise beyond them. Trust wasn't given lightly. It was earned through the storms, through the days when hope seemed a distant star flickering on the horizon. Gratitude became your weapon, sharper than any sword, cutting through despair and filling your soul with light, even in the darkest hours. Self-discipline wasn't a burden. It was the rhythm of your heartbeat, the steady drum guiding your steps toward greatness. You flipped the script with a quiet roar, rewriting the narrative not for their approval but for your liberation. Now they live inside the echo of your triumph, caught in the story you carved with unbreakable hands and a spirit unyielding. This is your legacy, a tale of rising alone, of transforming pain into power, of becoming unstoppable. So stand firm, fam, and let your story blaze across the sky. A testament that no matter the storm, you flipped the whole damn script and now they're trapped in your story forever. You became the storm that no one could predict, the wild, relentless force that shattered expectations and tore through the silence like a thunderclap in a forgotten night. The world tried to write your fate with cheap ink, thinking you'd fade quietly into their script, but you rewrote every line with the grit of a soul that refused to bow. Alone, you carried the weight of your dreams, the heavy chains of doubt and fear, and turned them into wings of fire that carried you higher than they ever imagined possible. You faced the darkest valleys where hope seemed a fragile whisper, and still you pressed forward, patient, humble, unbreakable. Every scar on your heart is a badge of honor, a mark of battles fought and won in silence, away from the eyes that doubted you. Trust in the unseen became your fortress, a quiet power that steadied your steps when the world trembled beneath your feet. Gratitude filled your veins like a sacred river, flowing through the cracks of despair and filling your soul with unyielding light. Discipline wasn't a cage. It was the rhythm of your heartbeat, the pulse that kept you moving when every fiber screamed to stop. You flipped the script not with fury, but with the calm confidence of someone who knows their worth, someone who turned pain into poetry and struggle into strength. Now they live inside the story you own, caught in the echo of your rise, the unstoppable force of your becoming. So hold your head high, fam, and let your story blaze like wildfire, because you flipped the whole damn script on them, and now they're stuck living in your story forever. You walked through fire and came out forged, stronger than the doubts that tried to burn you down. The silence that once threatened to drown your voice became the canvas for your roar, a raw, relentless anthem echoing through the halls of those who never believed. You didn't just rise, you transcended, stepping beyond the shadows cast by betrayal and failure, embracing the light within with unwavering patience and humility. Every setback was a chapter rewritten with sweat and faith, every moment of loneliness a crucible for your moral strength. Trust in the divine thread weaving your path kept you steady when the storms raged fierce. Gratitude filled the cracks in your heart, turning wounds into wisdom, weakness into unbreakable discipline. You flipped the script not for vengeance but for victory, the victory of a soul that refused to be caged by past pain or others' expectations. Now they're prisoners of your narrative, trapped inside the legacy you forged with silent power and blazing purpose. So stand tall, fam, and let your story be the wildfire that no darkness can extinguish. You flipped the whole damn script on them, and now they live inside your story forever. You feel that fire, fam, that burning inside that no one else can see but you. It's the raw, untamed energy forged in the depths of every moment they said you couldn't, wouldn't, shouldn't. You walked through storms that bent your body but never broke your spirit. Through nights so dark you questioned if dawn would ever come. But you held on with patience like a warrior gripping their sword, humility like the calm before battle, and trust that the unseen hand guiding you knows the path better than your own eye. You didn't need applause or recognition. You only needed to keep moving even when the world whispered lies to your ears, trying to drown out the truth of your strength. You flipped the whole damn script not with loud rebellion, but with quiet, relentless persistence. You rewrote your story with ink made from scars, tears, and sweat. This story, it's a testament to every time you stood alone and refused to fall. They thought your silence was your defeat, but it was your strategy, the calm eye of the storm, where your power grew. You disciplined your mind and heart, like a blacksmith hammering steel until it shone, refusing to be dulled by doubt or fear. You learned that true strength is born from struggle, molded by the fires of betrayal and the cold winds of loneliness. You embraced gratitude in the smallest things, the breath that filled your lungs, the sunrise that painted the sky, the lessons hidden inside every hardship. You trusted not in the world's approval, but in the divine wisdom weaving the unseen threads of your destiny. Now they're stuck living in your story forever. Trapped in the echo of your rise, caught in the gravity of your unshakable will, your story blazes like a beacon, a lighthouse cutting through their fog of disbelief. So keep that fire alive, fam. You flipped the whole script. They thought they controlled the narrative, but you're the one writing the chapters now. You are unstoppable. This is your legacy, raw, real, and forever theirs to watch. You see, fam, this journey, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's for those who've been pushed to the edge, stared into the abyss, and chosen to rise anyway. You carried the weight of every doubt, every sneer, every "you can't" that echoed in your ears. But you transformed that weight into wings, wings that carried you higher than anyone thought possible. The script they wrote for you, you tore it apart with hands shaped by struggle and a heart hardened by resilience. Every step you took was a defiance, every breath a rebellion against the limits they placed on you. Patience wasn't just waiting, it was a fierce act of war. A daily decision to keep going when every part of you screamed to quit. Humility kept you grounded, reminding you that greatness isn't loud, it's quiet strength, the ability to bow without breaking. Trust in that unseen force, the divine rhythm guiding your path, gave you the courage to move forward when the road disappeared beneath your feet. You mastered self-discipline like a silent guardian, shaping your mind and habits into unbreakable armor. Gratitude filled the cracks left by pain, turning wounds into wisdom and despair into determination. They watched, paralyzed as you flipped the script with a calm so fierce it shook their foundations. Now they're trapped inside the story you wrote, living in the shadow of your rise, forever bound by the legacy you claimed. This isn't just survival, it's transcendent. You flipped the whole damn script on them, fam, and there's no going back. Your story blazes like wildfire, unstoppable and unforgettable. So stand tall, breathe deep, and own it. They're stuck in your story forever, and you're just getting started. So fam, this is it. The moment you stop living their story and start owning yours. You flipped the script, carved your path with fire and grit, and showed the world what unstoppable really means. Remember, they're stuck inside your legacy now, trapped in the echoes of your rise, forever living your truth. So hold that power close, walk tall with that unbreakable spirit, and never let anyone tell you who you're meant to be. Your story, it's yours alone. Own it. Live it. Burn bright like the legend you are. This isn't just the end, it's the beginning of forever.